Hello and welcome to episode 8 of DealerPod, the podcast where we talk to motor trade industry experts nationwide to find out about their businesses and gain any insights they may have to help you with your car sales operation. My name's Stephen and I'm joined today as always by Scott and Martin, and today's guest is the owner of Riverview Car Sales. I'd like to welcome to the podcast Mr. Erik Thorius. Hiya Erik, how are you doing mate? You alright?
Hello guys and thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
That's great. You're more than welcome. It looks like a nice home office you've got there, Erik.
It's all right. Yeah, it's been overtaken by my 10-year-old child, but at one time it was quite nice. Yeah.
That looks very posh. You must be selling plenty of cars.
Well, we have over the years, Stephen.
Scott, do you want to lead in with a few questions to start with then?
Yeah, Erik. I mean, I've obviously known you for a lot of years now. I think we met in the auctions up in Scotland when you came up to me and said, "You get around a bit." I think that was your first line. What you give me, and then we've been pals ever since.
Back in the days when you used to hide behind the post and bid against us, Scott. Is that the one you want about? Is it?
Yeah,
I've been there.
Could be. Well. I think when I used to bid against Stephen, I used to do more like blatant and stand right next to him. But with you, I used to hide behind like a post. Yeah.
We used to be friends, didn't we? Whereas you didn't really used to like each other a few years
ago.
No,
exactly. Yeah. I used to make his cars expensive.
That's not true.
He's a shit bag.
But yeah, Scott just didn't like it when I came in the auction. That was all because I used to cost them cars. That's why.
When he used to walk in the auction, I used to go, "Oh, here he is. Everything's now going to be expensive. I may as well just go home and not bother bidding."
He has money bags.
Well, that was, to be fair, that was my idea at the time.
Yeah.
I used to go to the. Sorry, Erik. I know it's your podcast, but I've got to get this in. I used to stand in the middle of the auction hall with me catalogue rolled up like that, like my bidding stick, and I used to go in the middle of the auction and just make sure that everyone's seen us bidding. And I've done it for a reason, because I thought if I keep doing that, and I keep giving strong money for cars, eventually people are going to go, "Oh, bloody hell, he's in there again." I'll walk away, and it did happen. People used to see us, and they used to come up with us in the auction and go, "Are you into this?" And I'd go, "Aye," and they were like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" And they would leave it and walk away. And eventually, I would get cars cheaper. But when Scott was there, Scott used to just run us up. He didn't even want the cars. He cost us thousands.
I just said he's not going to intimidate me with his tricks.
I've definitely set something up here, mate, haven't I?
It's been bubbling. It's been bubbling.
Yeah, get it out your system, Steve. You'll feel much better. It's Friday.
Invite me on here, Scott.
Sorry, say again.
Are you sure it was a good idea inviting me on here?
Oh, yes.
Really, it's just to let them two crack on.
Yeah. We've been actually, as the podcasts have been going, we've been dropping a few bombs in against each other as well, which has been quite good. Erik, back to you anyway. Can you tell us, because what we're interested in, you left school. What did you start and do? How did you get yourself into the motor trade, and where are you now? What's your journey been?
So
over to you.
I left my A levels halfway through. I was predicted A stars in all 4 of them. I knew better. I went and got a job in a call centre. That progressed into selling health club memberships. There's an end to this. And then one day I sold the manager from the local Renault dealership a health club membership. He offered us a job, said I would earn more money than I'd ever earned before. I was the best salesman he'd ever spoke to. And it went from there. So started working Reg Vardy. In my first month as a salesman for Reg Vardy, I sold more cars and made more profit for the company than anybody else ever had at Durham Renault. Did that for probably 3 or 4 years, and then moved on to selling cars that were between £200 and £300 from my back door. That progressed to getting a unit. The 2 cars went to 4, the 4 cars went to 10, and then we ended up with a multi-million-pound turnover. We don't sell prestige cars. We sell cars between, say, £5,000 and £15,000, because that's what I feel find sells better in our area. Something we've always done, so I just kind of stuck to it. We've went from having 1 premises to having, with the car sales business, having 2 premises, then having 3, and at one point having 27 staff. Although in the last few years, I've taken to acquiring MOT stations. So I've bought 2 local MOT stations, Britannia Auto Centre in Clevedon Village and Station Garage in East Bolton. I've just agreed to open a new showroom, as previously discussed with you, Scott, directly opposite that. And and just onwards and upwards, moving forward, but just gentle steps. Don't want to be Redgate Lodge. You're my friend, I respect what you do, but I do what I do, and it works for me what I do.
So do you prefer car sales, Eric, or do you prefer mechanics, like workshops and things like that? Because you've obviously taken on the two big workshops, and we discussed it, and you said, I'm thinking about getting these, and I was like, oh no, doesn't sound good. But I think that's your forte, isn't it? Like you've got a good knowledge on fixing cars.
I'm definitely in the knowledge behind the businesses. So when it comes to fixing the vehicles, I'm the one that seems to know, even though I've never been on a mechanical course in my life. I just have a very good understanding of how to fix vehicles. Got a bit disillusioned with Riverview Cars because obviously I have a team in place to do it. Don't particularly, it became a bit boring because I just felt that I couldn't put anything else into that business. It consistently performed. And I just got a bit bored with it, a bit disillusioned with it. So I bought one MOT station. Pleased to say that's doing 400% of what it used to do profit-wise. That encouraged us to buy the next one, put a manager in place. So my idea being that I was going to have the two businesses making this money, and then I could just live in Spain and drink wine. That was the plan. Until one of the managers decided not to really do very much towards actually running the business. He got removed from his duties about 5 months ago. And for the last 5 months, I've been torturing myself, and I mean torturing myself, running one of my MOT stations. So to answer your question, what is my forte and what do I prefer? I prefer selling cars all day long. Hence why hence why I'm opening the new showroom opposite, because that's what I want to do. I'm still going to run the other ones because they're very profitable, but I'll really get a buzz out of selling cars. It's what makes us tick, and that's what I'm going to do.
Do you remember when I started out and I started selling Renault Clios? That was my little thing.
How big when you were hiding behind the pole?
At that time. And you were specialising in Megans, remember? You should buy loads of Megans.
Don't remind us.
You loved a Megane.
I did.
In all the adverts was timing belts changed. Remember?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, those days are gone now. Thankfully, the electrical problems have probably caused a few of the loss of hair issues you can see at the top. We definitely don't bother with Renaults anymore, that's for sure.
And what about like getting mechanics? Because obviously there's a shortage in the trade of good people. Have you interviewed people from like main dealers and things like that, or trialed them, or how do you find it, or so like getting the right people?
Me and you have had this conversation many times over the years, haven't we?
Yes.
At times I'm sure I've had tears in my eyes when we've had these conversations. I don't think I'm wrong.
I've had tears run down my cheeks.
Yes, exactly. So the car sales business we run, I don't feel is very attractive looking from the outside. It's in an old building. It's not very nice. The two MOT stations we own are in the most affluent areas in South Tyneside, surrounded by multi-million-pound houses. So when I bought the first MOT station, I did all the exterior and I made it look like a modern building. Grey cladding, new interior, new equipment, liquor paint everywhere. And I had this vision because whenever I used to advertise for a mechanic from my car sales business in my old crappy building, I wouldn't get anyone to apply. And we'd have these conversations where you hear these people say, everyone's leaving the trade, no one wants to be a mechanic anymore, blah, 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 and it knocks your pan in as a proprietor of a business that needs mechanics. But the idea was that if you provide them with something shiny and new, well, to be fair, like what you've done at Redgate as well, I'll find the queue up. So I don't find I have those issues that we used to have. The same with the other MOT station. It's had a couple of $100 grand thrown at it. It looks modern on the outside, all new equipment, had all the floors done. You've seen the videos, non-slip resin floors. It looks the bee's knees. They're queuing up down the street. I was saying to Scott in a conversation that we had a few days ago that a couple of lads came in from the local BMW centre, just to have a look because they'd heard we're getting a bit of work done, and they've both subsequently applied to work there. So it tells us so spend a bit of money on your business, make it look a bit better on the outside, because even though it doesn't matter to us, it matters to the people who work there. So if you want if you want to get the people that you want, you have to make little changes, and that includes coffee machines and sandwiches, for breakfast and meals on a Friday. Like everyone's just had a pizza, which I know you do as well from the local Italians. Just looking after people. That's what you have to do, isn't it?
So make it a nice place to work.
Mine, I must say, but
are you saying that I need to move out of my 2 porter cabins in Eric? Is that what you're saying?
Where are the porter cabins?
I'm on Sandy Lane along from the auto park.
Oh, right, I didn't realise.
Oh,
I mean, it
yeah.
just depends who you want to employ, doesn't it? You know?
He's sharing, Eric Stevens sharing my office, and he loves coming here because we've got a toilet. He's got like this little plastic thing in the field. So he always comes here and has a good 10 minutes
When it
downstairs.
rains, you need an umbrella.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with our toilet on site, I'll have you know.
Yeah, it's windy the other day. He's got to hang on the sides like that.
The two girls who work in the office for us never want to use it, mine. But that's another story.
Watch Thunderbox.
Yeah, I can imagine. I didn't realise you were still running your business, Stephen. Sorry, I thought you were.
Oh yeah.
I thought you were just working together.
No, well, obviously I've still got my retail business, mate. Yeah,
Oh, right.
which obviously we've been going for 10 years now, 11 years, and obviously set this thing up on the side with Scott, but we've got big plans for it. But yeah, we're still selling plenty of cars, mate. Don't worry about that.
Oh, good. I'm just noticing. Sorry,
go on.
No, I noticed today on DealerWay on a positive note, there seems to be a lot more cars on there today for the negative people that's been post.
We noticed that earlier.
Look at that, 16 live auctions and 17 buy it now. Come on.
Exactly. Come on.
Come on. Yeah, it's going to get a lot better, isn't it?
We've got some new announcements coming, but we can't actually say that at the moment. But we've got some things that will make everybody happy in the group. But it's a bit under wraps at the minute, but it's good. So, Eric, I was going to ask you, you're getting this new site and it's going to be 90 cars and so on. What are you going to be doing to source your stock? Because obviously you would have, tell us, what's your experience of buying through car auctions, customer service? What's your experience of buying like Motorway or Car Wow? What have you experienced in the past, and what's going to be a new approach, or is it still going to be the same, or what?
So, obviously, everyone's got different opinions. I would imagine it varies region-wide, regionally, depending on what's around you in the particular region you're in, what cars sell in the particular region you're in, and where you buy them from, as accordance to what sells in your particular area. But to answer your question, Scott, DealerWay, obviously, so far I think I've bought 4 cars from DealerWay, but that's early days.
On the app, yeah.
On the app, sorry, yes, on the app, yeah. Motorway, I personally feel like Motorway could have put me out of business if I'd continued buying off Motorway. I know we've discussed this as well, Scott, in our private conversations. I made the mistake of using Motorway's delivery service, and I can honestly say it nearly made us leave the motor trade. Yeah. Absolutely. But because I can spin things that other people can't, and I understand mechanically what other people don't, then sometimes it's not such a biggie for me. But I couldn't take any more pain. I've just had that much going on in the last year with the house move and acquiring different businesses, not just motor trade, other things, and running the car sales. It just honestly, it nearly sank us buying a motorway. If you're going to buy a motorway, you need to send your own people. That's the summary.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
And what about deliveries? Do you deliver cars with what you sell, or are you avoiding doing deliveries?
We've got 2 fairly new recovery vehicles. One of them was a brand new conversion a few months ago, and I've just always stayed away from deliveries. Throughout COVID, when everyone else was closed, we were one of the only motor trade businesses selling on Auto Trader, I'm pleased to say, for financial reasons. And that we chose to deliver them over that period. But since COVID, we haven't been delivering them. I just find that, and obviously everyone's different. Obviously we're in the lower end price of the market with, people who buy the cars we sell between 5 and 15 grand tend to have an expectancy that they're getting a brand new Lamborghini dropped off. So, if one of the speakers doesn't quite sound right, it's just a fucking headache I don't need. Because our cars are priced right, presented correctly, and they're spoken to correctly when they come in the business, we can sell effectively and efficiently to local buyers without the need to do that. Don't get me wrong, we will be prepared to deliver them, but only on the basis of people come and see them first. And that's just hassle. Don't want to chew. The cars sell anyway if they're right, which of course they are, and that's it. And I'm not really after discussing it with the customer after that, to be honest with you. You get the train, and if they're interested, they'll come down for it, and if they're not, don't buy it. And I know there's many people will disagree with me and say you're a fool, you're missing out on opportunities, but you know how it goes for me, Scott, and
Yeah.
Why isn't it?
Absolutely. And what about the new site? Are you gonna, obviously Auto Trader? Are you thinking like Auto Trader? Are you going Motors or eBay or social media? Or what's your thoughts on all of them?
I think the motor trade constantly changes. The people who stick in their ways are the people who sink. In the past, I've disliked eBay and disliked Motors and preferred Auto Trader. But obviously times have changed. I couldn't really answer the question as to whether they're effective at the moment because I haven't experienced them for quite a long time, unless you can educate me on that. I do find Auto Trader works. I do think it's very expensive. I do wish we could do something else. But it's the fear of not having Auto Trader that I'm sure everyone goes through. And will the cars still sell? I think there's something to be said from having a lot more on your website as opposed to what's actually advertised on Auto Trader. So what I mean is, if you've got, say, 100 cars on Auto Trader, but you stock 200 in your case or 300 in your case, that sells cars. Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would definitely see as well. I think obviously it just stands to reason. The more cars you've got, the more cars you're going to sell, isn't it? Whether regardless where you've got them advertised. I mean, if you've pulled someone in off an Auto Trader ride on a Ford Focus and they turn up and you've got 7 of them, and only 2 of them are on Auto Trader, you've got more of a chance, haven't you?
Well, this is where you can educate me, Stephen, and you might laugh at me saying that, but traditionally I've always run a very, very sort of small and closed ship, because I was always limited on space, and
Right.
space to actually park them in the site that we had. So we always used to work on a smaller number of cars, but just really focus on what we did, I mean, it's not the case today because my focus has not been there for several months, as I've told you. But Scott will tell you, we used to sell 25 cars a week out of 30, and week in, week out. And it's just the way that's managed in the background to make that happen,
Mm-hmm. Well, to be honest with you, you're probably... Sorry, go on, Mon.
No, I was just going to say, so is the new site going to be under Riverview as well, or are you rebranding that under something different?
I'm going to rebrand it because I'm being honest with you, I'm just sick of people linking the three together and like customers, and whenever there's someone complains, I've been on Google and you're on all 3 and there's something dodgy going on. There's nothing dodgy going on. It's just the way we operate, and I just want to move away from that and move away from sort of nosy people who want to know what we're up to and things like that, because obviously there is people out there like that. So
yeah.
I think the biggest thing I find is and you'll probably be in a much better position than me is having someone to fix the cars. Having someone to fix the cars that you buy in. I mean, if you plan on having how many cars you're going to have at your new site? Did you mention?
Like I say, it's got space for 90, but I'm not wanting to get carried away. I'm used to stocking 30, so
So I mean,
30 and 90.
Right. So let's say you have 70 cars. If you're 70 cars and you're running Auto Trader, you'd hopefully want to try and turn your stock, at least. So you want to be doing at least 50, 60 cars a month, I'd imagine. And out of that, you're going to need to buy. You probably take, I don't know, 15 to 20 part exchanges that you can maybe go a game with. You're going to need to buy 40 odd a month. And then, even the part exchange, you've got to get them prepped to a high standard, haven't you? And it's all about having that machine that's running in the background. And surely you'll be well placed for that if you've already got 2 workshops. Because my business, I'll be honest with you, we used to employ mechanics at my old site, and cut a long story short, we had to move because of COVID, and now we're sub everything out, and it's hard. We're relying on other people. You can't just pick the phone up and say, right, that Fiesta that was just dropped off, drop that because I've just had a screamer and I need that looked at right now. You're not in control of that, whereas you are. So I don't think you'll have a problem if you've got a good team of people.
Well, that's fair enough, Stephen. You've hit the nail on the head. To be fair, people have always said to us over the years, I've got everything in house. So I've got 5 in-house painters. Across the 3 businesses, we employ 19 technicians. And what it gives us is a flexibility, like what you've just said. So obviously, combined with my knowledge, and I tend to know the answer to most things on motor vehicles only. I'm not trying to say.
Yeah.
Combine my sort of reactivity to things with the ability to spread the load over 3 places with 20 odd sets of vehicle lifts. It just makes life a lot easier, So if you've got the type of customer who wants it right now, there will be even though I hate that and it stresses us out, I've got I can absorb that within the 3.
Yeah. Well, you should be doing it straight away then if that's the case.
How do you mean?
Well, I'm saying you need to get as many cars as possible on the new site as fast as possible if you've got the capacity to run it like that. I'm thinking I might have a phone call with you afterwards and send you all my cars to get prepped if you've got that many staff.
Well, we were doing obviously without going into naming businesses. For the last sort of year or so, we've looked after one particular garage who have 300. Well, have 300 cars in stock. Not saying obviously which area they're in, but we were doing all that work for them. Decided I don't want to do it anymore, but so I was managing sort of my load, the customers' loads, that load. I do all the work for Wilson's Auctions in the Northeast, do all the mobility return in the Northeast. So yeah, we've got the capacity. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, champion! I'll give you a ring.
If you get stuck,
always
you too much.
To be fair, I couldn't afford Scott's rates.
Charges.
You know what it is? I was speaking to Paul.
We had a mutual pack of charges across the water, didn't we, Scott?
Yeah.
We got together and agreed labour rates before we put them on. Honestly, we did.
Yeah, true. Yeah, well, we've got actually one of our friends, George too, we'll call him. He's got a car into the prep centre, and he texts me. He says, "Can you do us a favour and try and get that car pushed up the list?" And I says, "The workshop's like booked like 2 weeks to 3 weeks in advance." And Paul, who's my new service manager, was amazing. He kind of like said off the record, he says, "I can get retail per hour rate. Why do I want to do trade? I can fill the diary full of retail." So when you look at it like that, you think, well, do you really want that trade work? You don't really want it. Why
do you keep ringing me asking us if I've got any cars I need to pay anything?
Because I feel sorry for you. It's sympathy. I'm talking workshop, not body shop, workshop. And then and Maz, who's actually coming on the podcast on Monday. Maz, we've been doing some body work for him. And I was just saying to Stephen, he's so nice to deal with. We've got a WhatsApp group. We'll photograph the damage, give him a price, send it off, and he says, yeah, just do it. Every time we've painted a car for Mr. Douglas to say, how much? How much are you charging? It's hard work.
It's right, to be fair, because you're a freaking fortune.
We're not, man. We're not. You just want everything for nothing.
Well, that's the whole point.
Back to you, Eric. I must say, Eric, as well, I must have rang you for when I call and I ring, I'll say, hello, is that technical support? And you say yes. I must have rang you over the years. I mean, I met you when I came into trades for 14 years. I must have rang you, 100 times, 200 times?
Oh, good job. Thousands.
Maybe thousands.
A couple of hours every day of the week.
And I'll sometimes ring you as well if we've got a problem with a car and it might be like a difficult customer. And you get yourself all like vexed, don't you? You're like, and you're ready to like, and you say, I'll jump in the car, come over there now, and I'll sort it all out and all that. There was a time when I was up at Bedlington, right, with a customer, and they were kicking off about the car, and they demanded it fixed on the weekend. They couldn't wait till Monday. And I says to Eric, what is it? And he says, it's a control unit. He says, I know where there is one, the one at the scrapyard. And he got on a Sunday morning, Eric, as my pal, went to the scrapyard, got the unit, came to my garage, fixed it so we could give it to the customer, so the customer was happy to get it away. Do you remember that?
It gets the job done, though, doesn't it? That's what
it
was. That's what
it was.
Yeah,
very true.
Just
Eric, on that one.
Sorry.
What's your biggest struggle, would you say, in the motor trade? What do you find difficult?
Being really honest with you guys, I think the biggest struggle is with myself at times. Just with the daily pressures of being in the motor trade, and that's just being honest, just dealing with the amount of constant, non-stop bombardment, whether it be, it's just everything, isn't it? It's just email after email, and you've got to buy cars, and then there's somebody else in. It's just the motor trade. I think that's my biggest, and I can't really quantify what you mean, like what I mean. I think what I'm trying to explain.
Because you're in it, do you think it's because you know and you wouldn't want to go anywhere else, or type of thing?
I think it's just because it's so profitable that would struggle to earn the sort of money that we earn doing any other type of job, and you'd have to set up other businesses or other companies to provide you with that. But without the knowledge that we have of motor vehicles, I think we would struggle.
Eric, how old are you now?
42.
So you're 42, and just you won't mind me saying, for anybody looking, watching this, like maybe salesmen and main dealers or people new coming in the motor trade, you came from like salesman's background, like you said earlier, from Reg Vardy. You set up your own garage, went from one car to whatever it was, and I know yourself. You've just spent £2 million on a house. You go to the Maldives every year, and you spend £40,000 on a holiday for you and your girlfriend.
I do.
You drive around in all the best cars, and you have a nice lifestyle, and it all comes from the motor trade.
It does, yeah.
So that's why you wouldn't want to change it.
Well, that's the fear, isn't it? That's the fear of climbing the ladder and getting to a certain place in your life, and then thinking, can I do something else? Can I? It's not going to pay the money that I get, I mean, I've had very nice cars. I live in a very nice house. I've been on the finest holidays. I've stayed in the finest hotels. We'll fly business class with Emirates. It's nice. But it's just the fear of if you didn't do this, you'd have to fly economy.
Cattle.
It could be worse. It could be Norwegian, eh?
Actually, I'm going on an airplane in a couple of weeks with my friends actually in cattle.
No,
I'm Mr. Scott Sibley's going into cattle class.
No, my friend's in cattle. I'm turning left when you get on the plane.
God.
He's behind that curtain, but I'm just going to give him a little wave.
Well, yeah, that
would be me and you, Martin. Me and you in cattle.
You'll be in the seats next to where the toilets are. They keep banging the doors.
I would, yeah.
Eric, so when you first started, you got your unit, you set up your own business. Talking about hours, I mean, we used to do the Scotland run. So you drive up to Scotland 3 times a week, and you'd leave it like sometimes on the Wednesday. Well,
what did you say? Drive to Scotland? No,
Scotland. Or did you fly?
Race to Scotland, didn't we, Scott? Come on. Used to see this Audi's headlights in my mirror, and he'd come and he'd just shoot past us about 120 mile an hour, and he's just gone. You couldn't keep up with him. But yeah, I remember the Scotland trips. Going back to what you were saying though, motor trade. How many hours did we used to work?
Do you remember McDonald's on the way back?
He used to say to us, "I've left you a coffee in the tap." So I would pull up every single time at the drive-thru. I've come for my coffee that my mates left us and be like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, but yeah, the coffee in the tank's a good one.
Scotland. I mean, on a Wednesday, I used to leave at like 5 a.m. to get there. Well, it was BCA Livingston at the time. You do Livingston first, then go to Central and finish up at Kinross at SMA and get back home about 11 o'clock at night. But you do Scotland on a Monday and a Friday, and we did that for years. But if you work out how many hours you're putting in, do you think we're a bit mad? Or how many hours did you used to do?
Certifiable. They're definitely certifiable. I think I'd probably have one of those labels that they give kids these days if they've been around when I was younger. To be totally honest with you, I personally worked every day but Christmas Day and New Year's Day for 10 solid years. I used to go to work at 5:30 a.m, work on the tools all day, leave to go to Livingston at 3:30 in the afternoon, drive like a lunatic, often race you on the way up, stand around till 11 o'clock at night, like a lunatic on the way back. I don't know how I'm still alive. And then I'd get up the next day and I'd do the same thing over and over again. And I used to work 7 days a week. I'd obviously do that sort of thing Monday to Friday, sell cars on a Saturday, and then I'd go down the garage 6 o'clock on a Sunday morning and I'd stand and machine polish old cars all day. But that's when I didn't have the money to do what I can do today. And that's why I got in the position I'm in today, to be fair. So, yeah.
I mean, I did drive fast, but you were a lunatic.
You actually used to overtake me. You used to drive fast. Definitely.
So, Eric, are you still like that today then? Are you still getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and like putting a shift in every single day? Or do you have, obviously you mentioned you had a lot of staff. Do you know where to just sort of take a seat back and let other people sort of take the reins, or are you just too involved?
I think unfortunately I'm too involved. I have tried. So in the last few years, I employed a PA, salesmen, managers. And if I'm honest with you, I'm doing a better job myself. I'd rather. Simple as that. You know, I mean, sit here today, filthy jumper on. You know, as you can see, I don't mind. This is me. This is what I wear. My hands are probably dirty, as you can see as well. I didn't even wash my hands before I came on this podcast today. But that's me. That's what I do.
Yeah,
It works.
obviously works.
The
Obviously
madness.
works, but there's got to be a time when you're going to slow down, though. You know, you're talking about going on expensive holidays. You don't want to have more. You know, like, and let someone take the reins.
I get bored.
Nothing you could do with I.
The way I take, I get bored. So I started going into other things and, you know, other businesses and doing properties, and it doesn't float me boat. It doesn't excite us enough. It's not intense enough. I love the intensity of the motor trade. I love just one thing after another all day long, where you don't know whether you're coming or you're going. I love that. That's what makes us tick. And that's other people I realise are completely out of the comfort zone at that point, and that's probably why I've managed to sort of get on a little bit and outperform some other people in the area, because I don't think like other people. Hence,
Eric, what about your new
crazy hours?
your new site? What you got? Are you going to do the same kind of stock? You know, like retail value, the same, like, you know, like say, like, I don't know, 4 to 10,000 or 15,000, or what are you going to do?
No, Scott. Obviously, like we discussed, that's the most affluent area in South Tyneside, with multi-million-pound houses all along the road on both sides, going both ways. It's definitely going to need a different type of vehicle in stock. I don't really know is the answer at the moment, but I'll work it out like I always do, with a little help from my friends like you, Scott. Hopefully, Stephen.
He's got to help you compete with him. I definitely see that happening.
I thought Stephen would have says you're on the wrong side of the water, because he's very into it.
Sorry, I lost you there, Scott. What did you say?
Sorry, I lost you, Scott. What did you say?
No, I thought you were going to say that he was on the wrong side of the water, because obviously your love for football.
Well, just because he's not from Gateshead way, though, he's not. Are you a Macam, Eric? You're not a Macam, are you?
I'm too busy working and worrying about making money, to be totally honest with you. That's why I don't really support football. I'm being really honest with you when I say that. But if I was going to do it would be black and white.
All right, that's all right. I was going to kick you off the pod there for a second.
Black and white all day.
I was just going to switch you off. That's sacrilege.
These keys are these keys, but you know, I couldn't choose where she come from. She's a bonny lass, so I let her off with her accent.
So would you never move over to this side of the water? Or do you prefer to be where you are?
I enjoy, obviously, you know, I know people buy via the internet and things like that, but I enjoy just doing my little thing in my area and
in your area. Yeah.
I wouldn't like what you have got over there, where you're all next to each other and having bitch fights like what you and Stephen do and scratching at each other. I can't do it. I just want to go to work and
there's only ever one winner, Eric. There's only ever one winner.
You were saying bitch fights. Was that Martin and Stephen? It was them two, wasn't
it? You know, I've always just enjoyed doing my own thing, getting on with what I do, you know, and just getting my head down and getting on with it. I was totally in two minds whether to actually do it or not, whether to just sort of not bother and just let me two MOT stations run themselves. But I just can't do it. I had major spinal surgery and I was meant to take 6 months off work. I was back at work after 4 days, crutches and a neck brace on, because I just can't bear to sit in the house. And I know that's lunacy as well. I had a shoulder operation about a month ago, and I was meant to be having 3 months off. I went to work after the operation.
I would see that. I would milk that. I would be in the house for 4 months, lying horizontally watching telly.
I'd be concerned about missed opportunities on a genuine note. Yeah. Seriously, I
remember when I had my double hernia operation, and the next day I had my tracksuit bottoms on, because you obviously got the stitches. And it was when I had the business at Bedlington, and I got in the car, and the auction was on up at Central, so I had to go up to Glasgow. So I drove with my crutches, and I stood and did the auction. But I was, I think I went a bit pale, like I was going to be like a bit faintish.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, we all do it, don't we?
Yeah. You feel all right at the time, so you just crack on, don't you? But it's probably the painkillers, isn't it?
Being honest with you, though, I do think, Stephen, going back to what Stephen was saying, I do think there definitely is a bit of room for learning to relax a little bit more, Stephen, and taking things a little bit easier. I bought myself an e-mountain bike, top of the range e-mountain bike last October. And I've been going out every other night, which is a fantastic help to how I feel. But I tend to do all the bank holidays. So we'll go away on the Thursday, come back on the Monday. We'll go to Spain over the weekends on the bank holidays. We'll do a couple of weekends in the lakes, and then we'll do. I take December off work. Normally go Maldives, couple of weeks, get back, have Christmas with my child, and then we'll go to Spain for a couple of weeks after that. So I do work hard, but I play hard at the same time when I do play. When I have time off, I do. I wouldn't say I relax, but I take time off work anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's important. It's important. Like I was, certainly in my early 20s, I was 100 miles an hour. 100 miles an hour, and I'm saying certainly in my early 20s. I have been recently. I've been working at 1 o'clock in the morning on dealer way, and God knows what, sending emails, and it does take a toll. You do need time to like relax and recuperate. And I think I'm due a little relaxing holiday, but I can't because Scott's going on holiday, so I'm going to have to steady me and Martin steadying the ship on my own, Martin.
How can you manage without me there?
To be very, very easily. Very easily.
It's trying to work out which one's more Judith Chalmers between the two of you.
The words right off my tongue. I was just about to say that.
Honestly,
who?
Judith is definitely SS.
Wish you were here.
Who?
SS.
No
Judith
idea.
Chalmers? I was supposed to be going to Mallorca in September, but the app
Judith
delayed,
Chalmers.
so I couldn't go. So I've missed out on holiday.
But you just got
poor Scott.
No, we did. We missed out. September. I was going to have a week in September in Mallorca, and then I said to Stephen, he says the app's going to launch, and he was going to Vegas, and then there was a gap in between, and I had Jane on standby, and I says, "Nah, I can't go." I says, "I think this app's going to go," and then it got delayed, and it turns out it could have been.
What a shame.
Where are you going, Stephen?
Where am I going?
When are you going then?
Oh, when am I going? So, to be honest with you, Eric, I couldn't afford to go on another holiday this year. We've been on quite a few years this year, to be honest. But just when I'm here, I am 100 miles an hour, But it'll be next year now, unless Scott wants to treat us to another one. Wink, wink. No,
How's
not happening.
this week?
Economy class.
Like a lad's holiday.
How's business? I would say business is a bit flat, and I'll be honest with you. I think business has been a little bit flat for the last year, and I think that's across the board. I think everyone I'm speaking to, I can only speak for up our way, but everyone I speak to seems to be quiet. Even the liars are quiet, as the saying goes. I just think it's a tough time for the motor trade. I don't even think it's just the motor trade. I think it's a tough time for for the UK. With the change of government
coming up, isn't it? A couple of weeks time.
I just think people haven't got any money. People don't have any money anymore. People, like the price of things has just shot up through the roof.
You say that, Stephen, but if you go down Northumberland Street or the Metro Centre on a weekend, it's packed. It's like Christmas week every weekend, right the way through the summer.
Are they spending any money though?
Well, they've got loads of bags and shopping, and you think, but they say like there's no money around, and you look, and it's just like the car parks are full, it's flat out, and all the restaurants are busy.
Well, they're not spending money on cars then.
No, I know what you mean.
I do know what Stephen's getting at, because over the last year, I have become a little bit disillusioned and thinking, like, am I doing something wrong? Or I'm blaming it on the lack of, vehicles available to buy, or the choice of vehicles to buy, because I have limited myself, because I wasn't buying on DealerWay, I wasn't buying on the formats, which thankfully you've given us some advice on, Scott, and it's done us some good. But I have sort of personally felt that the demand is nowhere near as strong as what it used to be. I think that in the last month, I've thought it's been quite a challenge in the last month, although last week and this week, we've been absolutely flat on flying. I'm not going to lie, and I don't normally tell people that, but you know that, Scott. You know what I'm like. I don't really discuss.
Well, that's good. That's good, isn't it?
But I do think it follows a trend throughout the year anyway. So like it always tends to go a bit busier at this time of year, and then it's like someone's flicked the switch and just nobody comes in, in December. But that's why we always go on holiday,
Quite similar last year, though, wasn't it? As well, similar time last year. Remember, all the heavy stuff took a really big pill, didn't it? At the back end of last year.
Yeah, with the big drops.
Similar times, yeah.
I think. Sorry, go on, Eric.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I think cars haven't come down in price as much as what I thought they would either. Mind, I feel like they're going back up. I mean,
And
I
let's
don't
be
know how
honest,
you find it.
some are.
Yeah.
Stephen, on my BMW iX, for example, that thankfully I took on a PCP, 125, 18-month old, it's worth 40 grand. Oh, can you imagine that? 85 grand
Christ.
in 18 months.
Mad, isn't it?
Take on Turbo S. So after I looked at the values of that, my previous car, on Turbo S, I paid 158 grand for it when the first came out in 2020. 2-year-old, 40,000 mile on, trade value £45,000. How do you sustain that?
Frightening that, like.
Yeah, mad.
I know you've touched on the EV questions a little bit lately as well, and I just wanted to throw that one into the mix. I don't know if I mentioned that to you, Scott, or not, about those sort of depreciation values.
Yeah, no, I mean, we spoke about your car, and we've mentioned it on a few podcasts about EV because it's a bit of a hot topic. But I mean, I've tried a couple of things. I think you said you've had a couple of Teslas, and then you got a bit caught out on a couple, didn't you?
So I had this vision a couple of years ago that I was going to be the first person in the Northeast to sell EV. So I bought a couple of Teslas, and I'll be honest with you, right? I had never, ever blown cars, right? It's very, very rare I've blown a car. And I mean that, right? Because I can fix them. I blew 20 grand on them 2 Teslas, I'm ashamed to say. Never. I said never again. But obviously that was at the time, I've settled myself. Yeah, I know you've had some success with Teslas. Obviously being part of the RAC approved scheme, because one of my businesses is one of the 3 RAC approved garages in the Northeast, and being the only RAC garage which has got EV trained technicians, because I set about a few years ago and I had a little bit of a plan, and now we get all the EV business from that particular client, and rather than charging £70 diagnostic, by the way, I charge 150 plus VAT. So just to add a couple of things into this EV conversation, and obviously, in addition to those vehicles, because I don't sell vehicles that new, I get them sent from Wilson's auctions where the Motability cars have been returned because they don't run. So the Citroen and Peugeot range, bring an engine management light on. When you plug them in, it comes up a CAN fault. People who are untrained wouldn't know what that meant. You go into what I do and you have a look and you see that half the battery's not working. You can't fix the battery, or at this point you can't, because you can't buy the bits for it. So the only resolution for these vehicles, some of them which cap at 9 and 10 grand, is to put a £14,000 plus VAT battery in them. So that's on the Citroen and Peugeot range. That applies to the full Citroen and Peugeot range. I'm seeing them coming in between 20 and 40,000 miles. Every single one of them one's thrown away because the cost of buying the battery, unless we can fix the batteries, unless we can buy the equipment to fix them, is going to be more than what the cars are written off, basically. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's a massive thing on iPace as well.
That's frightening, that.
Yeah.
iPace got a real big problem.
Well, Porsche Taycans have got the same issue, and therefore the new Macan is going to have the same issue because it's the same battery.
That is scary, isn't it? Now, like,
Scary.
to think that in 10 years' time, everyone might be on selling electric. How do you go to the auction and put your hand up for a let's say a 62 plate electric car to sell for $5 grand? You just couldn't do it, could you? Like if you're starting off and you're doing cheaper stuff.
No, you can't, because we're all trained. So you can come to me and I'll fix it for you, Stephen.
But it's funny, because I think the EV market may change beginning of next year. And the reason being is, I mean, I've got an EV now, and I've just had a letter come through the post that, by the way, your free tax ends on the 1st of March come next year. So now you've got to pay 180 quid, the same rate as every other car.
You're joking.
But also on the new side of it, you've got to pay the £40,000 plus tax. So now EVs, anything registered, is going to go from free tax to, what is it, 600 quid now?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So for that reason,
so I've got a feeling people will be shedding them later later this year and beginning next.
I've just ordered I had ordered a Lotus Elite R, because a 900 brake horsepower. I don't particularly like the look of them, but I just fancied having 900 brake horsepower because I live my life in the fast lane, as I've said. I've just cancelled it, ordered a petrol, I'll be honest with you. And I'm not saying what car it is I've ordered, right? But it's a petrol, right? And that's as much as I'm saying.
You've ordered a micro, haven't you?
Well, something like that, yeah.
I think you've ordered what they call a Urus.
I wouldn't be prepared to sit on you. Sorry.
Did you not have you had a Rolls Royce, what they call a Spectre? You had one of those out on delivered to your house for a drive. Did you like that or not?
No.
Doors
open the wrong way, in my opinion. Far too big, far too heavy, and everyone stares at you, and I just don't feel comfortable with it. I'll be honest with you. I had a Bentley Bentayga S before that. That was the same. I just don't feel comfortable with everyone staring at you. I know that's the whole point in having a car like that, but at the same time, I don't know. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
Windows tinted.
Yeah.
Did you talking of electric vehicles? Did you see the announcements last night? We're getting off piste a little bit, but it's still about car related, I suppose. About Elon Musk when he's announced this new robo taxi in the robots. Have you seen it?
Yeah, and did you see those people walking behind him as well?
I was saying, you seen the robots?
Yeah, unbelievable. He's just like he is like a super villain. Him like like Dr. Evil or something, isn't he? It's unbelievable how he just keeps on going and keeps on doing these massive projects and building new companies and sending rockets to space and land them on pads in the middle of the ocean. He just fascinates me.
But doesn't he spends 20% of his income on startups?
Does he?
Right? Is that what he does? Right?
Yeah,
and
that's
then
what he does.
swallows them up when they get.
Some may fail, some take off.
We need to give him a ring.
47 million pounds on this private jet for himself. 47 million pound on a jet for himself. It took us a while to sort of get my head around the amount of money involved to be able to justify that. To have it sitting there, maintained, fueled. It's mega, isn't it? Did you say
it's like a drop in the ocean?
Had you just ordered one the same, Scott? Did you say?
No, he's went
I was talking to somebody with a jet actually, and he was getting his refurbed. So I didn't realize you actually get the inside all refurbed and you spray it all, and it's the same, and then you actually sell it. So he ran his for like 2 or 3 years, fluid, but he ended up getting his money back after you run it, did all the miles, and then did a refurb and then sold it. Just different like world compared to the cars, isn't it?
We'll get that put in the app.
We'll put the jet in the app.
Yeah. Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yeah.
Sorry, just going back to this Musk thing. So they've announced a robot. It's called Robo Taxi, and I didn't realize. I thought they were just going to release them like an Uber style sort of business, which I think they will. However, he also said last night that you can actually be able to buy one. So it looks a little bit like a Model Y crossed with a Cybertruck, but obviously a lot smaller. But they don't have a steering wheel. They don't have there's no gearbox. There's nothing fit. All there is on the dashboard is a massive widescreen TV. They had Netflix and things on. So you literally sit in the car. I think it seats 4 or 5 people, and you're just watching telly, and the car just drives for itself. And apparently they're gonna be releasing them in 2026. And like anyone can buy one, and he reckons, obviously, by the time it filters over to the UK, it'll be more, but because it usually is. But he reckons they're going to be less than $30,000 to buy.
What?
Really?
Wow.
Unbelievable. And it looks a nice looking car.
The question I have for you, Stephen, is: would you feel comfortable? Would you feel comfortable getting driven around in one of those?
I think it's like anything in it. I think the first time you do it, you'll think, "Whoa, what's going on here?" But I just, they've spent billions and billions and billions, and they've obviously got the top people in the world, the most cleverest people in the world, building these cars and putting the infrastructure in place. And I don't think they would allow them on the road. They wouldn't put their reputation on the line. I mean, if you think, right, I don't know how many they're going to sell, but let's imagine they've sold, I don't know, 50 million Tesla Model Ys, and next year they're going to turn the autonomy on, so they're going to allow them on the road to be driverless. The governments are going to be allowing them to do that as well. If just one out of the 50 million they sell has a crash, it's over, isn't it? Game over, because everyone will go, "Oh, I wouldn't get in one of them cars that crash." But so they must be supremely confident in them.
Let me tell you a little story, Stephen. So I had this brainwave a few years ago where I wanted to treat all my staff like my main members and stuff, the people who are really good, who stand by it.
Yeah.
So I got them all Teslas, right? Brings back bad memories, sisters. So right-hand man from Riverview, Andy, gives him his key on the night time. So I'm just going to go and pick my partner up from down the country. Next morning, comes back in the yard. There's the Tesla sitting with no wheel on it. Smashed the bits all down the passenger side. This is the one giving the key at 5 o'clock the previous day. 7 o'clock in the morning, wiped out. And he'd been going down the road, put the cruise control on, and all of a sudden it just fucked off to the right and smashed the full side. Right now, I find that very hard to believe, right? So if you Google it, if you Google Tesla cruise control goes to the right and read all that on there and tell me whether you feel safe driving one of them Teslas. Because yes, he should have had his hand firmly on the steering wheel, but they're just automatic. All of a sudden, they'll just want to go when they're driving along. So it wouldn't be something.
It's these adaptive cruises. I've noticed that you've seen with these adaptive cruises whereby you can be just driving down the motorway and it just picks something up. I don't know, something might hit the radar or something like that, and it literally just shits itself effectively. Just slams the brakes on, and then you end up with pilot.
I had one of the SQ7s when they first came out. I think it was back in 22. No, it was before that. I think it must have been around 2019. I got a brand new SQ7 when the very first just came out from Audi and Wearside. And the ADAS wasn't working properly on them when they first came out, the advanced ADAS. And I used to be driving along the road and it used to put you through the windscreen. And when I used to drive through the village, it's horrendous. So similar sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I know what you're saying. Probably will be frightening the first time you get one, and I'm sure there will be a load of controversy over it. But I think that they're coming, and I think the landscape is going to be massively different in 10 years' time driving out there on the roads, and what effect that's going to have on the used car industry. I don't know. Like are people eventually just not going to own a car, and you own a car and you share it with your neighbour, and it knows automatically that your car goes out on its own. It's 7 o'clock and takes that person, then it'll come for you and it'll be cheaper for you. It's definitely going to change things a lot. So get out now while you can.
I know not everyone likes to drive. I know some people don't actually like to drive themselves around, even though they've got driving licenses. Personally, I'm a driver. I like to drive myself around. I like to drive. Yeah. I was
Scott Chauffeur likes to drive as well.
Chauffeur.
It's what I'm sitting in the back of the rows, isn't it, Scott?
When I was last in America, I only use Ubers when I'm abroad, but he was telling me they do this Uber share thing now, which is I hadn't heard of it. So when you're going on a journey, and everybody can just join in and you share the car on your journey, which I thought was quite. They said was quite successful over there. But I don't know, you're sitting in the car next to somebody who you don't know, all crammed in. It's just to save what so much on the journey.
Smells and stuff like that. Me, I'm not into smells.
Well, that's the problem with buses and that, isn't it? And things like that. You just don't know who you're next to.
You may as well just get the bus.
When was the last time you were on a bus, Scott?
I remember back when I was 16. Eric, we had a meeting in Newcastle last week, and Stephen said it was around lunchtime, and I says, we'll nip into Greg's, we'll get some of them chicken strip things. He says, no, I'd rather go and sit down somewhere. I'll have a sit-down meal. And I went, all right, where are we going then? He says, well, there's this town hall place. And he says, but you know what it is? He says, you're far too posh for that. And I says, that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you very much for that.
But you know, Liz, though, it is actually really nice in there, the town wall. Martin, is it nice in there? Is it nice in there or not?
To be fair, the sausage and mash was all right. But
the sausage and mash, the sausage and mash was lush.
It's so nice. It's so nice. There was 3 people in there having their lunch, and it's this Newcastle city centre opposite Central Station. There was 3 people in. That's how popular it is.
I thought it was all right, me. I thought it was all right.
I know, but surely, Stephen, you've seen all these Facebook posts that Mr. Sidley puts on, and he's a la carte restaurants, and these little tiny plates he's got.
He's all fur coat and he knickers, man. That's all he is. Fur coat, no knickers.
Yeah, we're talking about this the other day. We're talking about this the other day, and I was saying to Martin, Stephen, I says, often think it's weird how your brain works. I've got no interest in football, but everybody who I know follows football. And sometimes you can't get into a conversation. So, oh yeah, did you see that game and this player and all that? And I'm just not interested. Even though we used to share the box at the match, and I've had tickets there, and we used to have seats and all this kind of stuff. But I've got no interest in it, and I always wonder like why don't I like football? But I would rather. I like going out for nice meals, or staying in nice hotels and doing the pampering, and going to a spa. That's what I like. Which is, but I don't understand why I don't like the normal stuff, the day to day.
Well, no, but I'm exactly the same though. I've often thought myself, like, man, it's strange because I don't like the things that other guys do. You know, like to me, it's what you're saying. You know,
I don't even follow any sport. I follow no sport at all. Nothing. Absolutely.
Well, Eric, you can imagine what it's like in the office with these two, can't you?
Do you not like Scott? Do you not like follow like the polo season and the croquet and the
jousting? Actually, I've been to a few matches lately. No, I don't follow any of that. I don't follow cricket, croquet, any nothing like that. Not even tennis or anything. Nothing. I'm not interested in it whatsoever. In fact, when I used to go to the match, the highlight for me was the cheese and biscuits, because they used to do this Newcastle United cheddar cheese, and it was in this like wax thing, and you cut into it, and it was lovely. It was really nice cheese. That was the highlight of going to the match. You need to experience that.
What persuaded you to actually pay for a box, Scott? Because you used to pay for a box, didn't you?
I was standing at Wilson's auction with Stevie Rose, and I said, Steve, I says, do you fancy getting a box at the match? And he says, what do you think, mate? And I says, well, if we share a box between 10, how many seats would you want? He says, well, I would have like 4 or 6. And I said, well, I would have 4. So that's how it was just one of those conversations at the time. And then we would meet and go at the box. And I think we did it for about maybe 3 years.
I know. But you don't
and it was all right. Nice. To be honest, I like going to the match with nice to see people and, you know, the social side of it, and having a few drinks and relaxing, get you away from work, switch your head off from work. I liked all that, but actual standing and watching the game, I wasn't bothered. I would look around the match at the advertising boards, and I would think, right, who's marketing, who's doing this? I'd go through the brochure, not read about the footballers. I would say, like, which businesses were there, who had boxes.
The brochure.
I was more into that.
The football match and looked at the brochure.
Is it, what's it called? Is it the program?
The brochure.
It's the program. That's what I know about football.
Oh God.
And I would say,
well, you can tell.
I've said to Stephen as well. I said, Stephen, tell me this. I says, tell me this. So the footballer, he's got the ball. He's going for the goal, right? He's on 100 grand a week. He's got a clear shot, and he misses it, and it goes over the bar by, say, 20 foot, and everybody claps. I says, why did they clap? Because I says, if it was Lewis Hamilton, he'd spin out and hit the wall, and he was going to clap. Or a darts player who misses the board, they're not going to go, oh, well done, you've missed. So I says, why did they do that in football? And he said, I don't know.
No,
Honestly,
What do when you think of it logically,
what you two were meant to be friends.
Oh, we are.
We always talk about football.
Comedy duo, hilarious. It's hilarious.
I've got another one about football.
Oh,
fans, right, especially Newcastle, they'll wear the Newcastle top to go on holiday. Yeah. So they're at the airport because the match isn't on, but they've got the Newcastle top. They get to where they're going. They've got the Newcastle top on. Is that for like a way of communicating where you look and think, oh, he's from the town? You go up and you go, no, mute, and he's got his tongue top on, right? So then they can like make like friends when they're away, and then they're around the pool and they've got the tongue top on. And then they're out with a family on the night time, sitting somewhere and having a meal, and they've got the wife and the kids there, and they've got the two top on. And so, do they have like 5 or 6 different tops, or do they wash the top when they're still there? How does that all work?
It's common knowledge that all Newcastle fans wear it for any occasion,
for the full length of time,
weddings and everything.
So here, this is the next question. So because they're supporting their club, right? Why is it then? Why don't you ever see like Wayne Rooney at say a pool party in Vegas when he was in the height of his game with his Man U top on, supporting the club?
For grannies.
Different culture, isn't it? Geordie culture, that's what it is.
They don't wear the tops, they don't support the club. I think it's terrible.
I've got passion that the Northeast people have got. That's what it is.
Exactly.
I just genuinely don't know how to answer you.
That's probably a good answer.
Are we going to get back to talking about cars? Or we're going to wrap it up? We're going to keep talking bollocks.
We're going to wrap it up actually because I've got to go. But,
Oh, you've got to go. Eric, before you go,
Go to
mate,
Scott.
and thank you very much for coming on. You've been a great guest and a good laugh.
Yeah, I've been a bit bored, to be honest.
Can you leave us with a tidbit for someone in the Dealer Way group, someone in the Dealer Way community watching this video or listening to the podcast? Maybe someone starting out. Just give them some advice on what you would do now if you were starting out.
Different people do things different ways. There's no right or wrong answer, I would say. Although my main thing is just to keep on going every day. So you might have had a bad day one day. You may, things can go wrong. That's the nature of the. Sorry about this. I employ people who can't do their job.
Tell them to keep going.
God, right. Keep on going every day. Every day is a fresh day. I wake up with a belief that you have a certain amount of energy every day, and you can use that energy to think about negative things, like a pot of energy every day. You can use that pot of energy to think about negative things that have happened in the past on previous days, or you can focus your energy on moving forward and what you're going to do that day and in the future, and that's how you're going to be successful. So keep on going, keep on trying, never give up. Don't particularly listen to other people and let them get you down. Just do what you feel is right. I've just worked 100 hours a week since I was 16. I didn't at one time have a pot to piss in, to be totally honest with you. I used to live in a rented flat with orange carpets and a brown sofa. Tell everyone this story. Absolutely hated it. Didn't even have any money for the bus fare. And I think it's just, if the will is there, and the same would apply with Scott and yourself and Martin. If you just keep on plugging away, you've got to get somewhere in this motor trade, providing you're not drinking too much alcohol, taking too many drugs, and seeing too many dirty women on a weekend. You should be all right. Just go to bed at a reasonable time.
That rules out about 80%.
I was going to say there'll be no one left.
Do you know what I mean? Just like, I think this motor trade, I think it's important to look after yourself as well and acknowledge the fact that you need to look after yourself. Obviously, you touched earlier on in this about me working too many hours and that I need to take. And I get what you're saying. It was completely because obviously I've suffered over the years as well. And there's been times when I've, felt like I could scream every day, to be fair. But, it's important to, as well as working very hard and staying very focused on what you're doing and treating your customers right as well and everyone around you with respect, because that is as you get older and you move on through your trade career, it'll bite in the backside, I guarantee it. I always remember the story. Sean McGill, he's the general manager at Durham Vauxhall today. He was the general manager at Durham. What's that thumb just went up on the screen there?
It's good, isn't it?
No idea. I've never seen that before.
Anyway,
don't know what happened there. Like.
That was good.
He gave us my first job in the motor trade at Durham Renault. And I always remember, and I tell everyone this story as well. I always remember I went in one day and remember I was top salesman. I used to walk on water. I was earning like 90 grand a year, age 21. And I went in one day and I said, Sean, that guy's a fucking arsehole. And he went, I had 2 minutes. So he went scurrying away and he's drawing this like ages, right? And he brings this mirror out and he held it up in front of us and he went, say it again. I went, what do you mean? He went, tell us what you've just told us now, son. And I went, he's a fucking arsehole. He went, no, you're the fucking arsehole. He says, don't you ever let me hear you say that again, because everyone in this motor trade needs to be your friend. Now, that was 20 years ago. I'm still friends with Sean McGill today. It does me, it does my business good to be friends with Sean McGill today. I employed his son for a period as a salesman. There's an example of how it's good to keep everyone as your friend. You never know. You just never know.
Mm-hmm. It's nice to be nice.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Good advice. Good advice.
Friends with Scott over.
Oh, I wouldn't worry about him. You can keep him at arm's length.
Scott's never changed. He's just got richer.
And richer. Right. And on that note, thank you, everyone. Thanks, Eric. You've been a great guest. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks, Eric.